don't think I don't think any of you don't know Paul Aronson or the Office of the Ombudsman for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families. And we invited Paul here this evening to spend some time with us. This may be the last time we have an opportunity to spend time with Paul in this official capacity as ombudsman. And he'll tell you more about why, and you can do your best to try to convince him otherwise. I've tried already many times. Um, and, just as Paul is here tonight, for the entirety of his tenure as ombudsman, he's been here anytime we've asked him to join, anytime a family group or an advocacy group has asked him to participate in a conversation or whatever it is they're doing. So we are grateful, Paul, that you have stayed true to that your entire time as ombudsman and look forward to our conversation tonight. So I will turn it to Paul.
Great. Thank you so much, Mercedes. And thank you, everybody, for joining this evening. Uh, so I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to talk about resources that exist in the system. It's such an important topic, as we all know. The good news here in New Jersey is there are a lot of resources for children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Uh, the bad news is it's a very complex system. It can be overwhelmingly complex, which in itself can be a barrier to folks getting the services and the supports that they need and deserve. Uh, Knowing what's out there, knowing what's available, and knowing how to access it. As we all know, that saying, you don't know what you don't know. And so that can be a huge barrier. And in fact, it's one of the main reasons, my understanding is that they created our office uh, back almost 8 years ago. So what I thought I'd do, and maybe you all have heard this spiel before, but I'm going to talk about the office, explain what it is, how it is, why it is, what we do, and how we do it, and talk about some of the resources that exist in the system. We're also going to make available. Carrie's going to make available not only our website link, but we also actually have a PowerPoint presentation, which we created a year or so ago. I always forget to use it, but it's a really good PowerPoint presentation, and I invite you to use it yourselves, and it explains what we do, how we do it, and all that for yourself if you want to know, but if you want to share it with others too. Uh, because again, they created our office for this purpose, to be a resource for individuals, children, adults, and families. So, our office was created by the state legislature in December of 2018, 2017. It was signed into law by then Governor Chris Christie in January 2018, and I was appointed by Governor Murphy in April of 2018. So it's been about 7.5 years that we've been operational. And again, it was an office and a position that was born out of the recognition that there are a lot of resources. We're very fortunate here in New Jersey, but it's a very complex system and it can be overwhelming. And so they created this office to be a resource, on big issues, small issues, quick questions, longer conversations. Um, as many of you know, and I think I'm looking at the names on the screen, we've worked with most of you, if not all of you at one point. And, the office was created and it's housed in the Treasury Department. As some of you notice on our email address, it has most of the word Treasury in there. Uh, we're technically what they say in but not of Treasury. And that's done for two reasons. One is it gives us a little independence because we're not sort of answering to a particular commissioner, if you will, or a particular department. But very importantly, I think, is that it recognizes that the issues that affect people with disabilities, like issues that affect people without disabilities, don't just reside in one department. It's not just the Department of Human Services or Department of Children and Families or Department of Education. It's health, it's transportation, it's it's the Attorney General's office. Again, we can go across. So our office has that system-wide, if you will, reach and perspective, and it allows us to work with individuals and families like yourselves in a more effective way. The legislation that created the office sort of outlined some of the work that we should be doing, but in we've effectively put it into three buckets. First bucket is again to be a resource, to help work with individuals and families, whether it's like information and referral and connecting them to different programs and different people and state government, federal government, local, connecting them to resources in the community, non-governmental resources, advocacy organizations. Uh, it's making sure again that individuals and families get those resources that they need and deserve. I probably spend about 80% of my time just talking with individuals and family members, troubleshooting, brainstorming, trying to help them navigate the system in New Jersey, uh, and helping them advocate, advocating with them, for them, whatever we can do. Again, just trying to be a resource. And as I noted earlier, sometimes people just email us with a couple quick questions. Others, we've had ongoing relationships with families throughout most of my time here, working on this set of issues this month, and then the next month, another set of issues. Again, these are lifespan disabilities. And so we get through one challenge, right? There's always another challenge sort of lurking around the corner. So that's what we spend most of our time doing. And that's, I really think, the heart of our work. Uh, Second, and really importantly, we take a very personal approach to our work, as many of you know. Again, I talk one-on-one with you and my deputy, or actually the whole team. There's five of us. We talk one-on-one on the phone, now through video, and whenever possible in person. And by in person, it's as Mercedes suggested, going to have a cup of coffee with the family member. I've been to more Panera Breads and diners in New Jersey than you can imagine. But also, when the opportunity presents itself, going to a family home and sitting in the living room and in the kitchen, meeting other family members. I do that because it helps me not only to help that individual and that family, uh, but it also really informs my understanding of the challenges that individuals and families are facing. And so for that second bucket, we really serve our office as like a nexus, if you will, between those making decisions and those impacted by the decisions. Our close personal relationships with all of you, we have close personal relationships with our colleagues in all the departments and in the governor's office. And what we try to do is use what we learned from you and sort of inform the policymaking process. We bring ideas back, we bring concerns back, we bring questions back. And so that really helps us to not only improve policy, but just to strengthen the overall system and try to make it more user-friendly, more accessible, and more person-centered. And then the third bucket, which is sort of related to all of that, is we do everything we can to help make sure that the voice of individuals and the voice of families is heard, and that it's heard in a meaningful way. Uh, I know this as a family member myself and as somebody who's been in government, often that the critical voice that's missing in the discussion when policies are made are the voice of the folks living on the front lines, the individuals with disabilities and their family members. And that's the most critical voice because no one knows better than all of you. And so what we try to do is really, again, connect people with policymakers, with state legislators, with reporters. We do anything we can to help make sure that your voice is heard. And we think that the system greatly benefits from that. Uh, Again, I try to take a very personal approach, and so I drive all over the state, as many of you know. I'm just under 145,000 miles on my car as of today. I'm going to try to get it to 150 by mid-January when I leave, but we'll see. Uh, but again, we really try to sort of take a direct personal approach, and really, I think that is, what really is part of our secret sauce. Not only that we care, but that we really take a personal, get personally involved in the lives of the folks that we work with. Uh, it helps us be better at what we do, and I think it helps our system as a whole because we're able to inform it. Um, One of the things I have to do in my job is an annual report that goes to the governor, goes to different commissioners, goes to the legislature. We post it on the website. It goes to anybody who will take the time to read it. Uh, and as many of you know, we've tried to use that report in a way that's different than a lot of annual reports. Annual reports generally sort of talk about last year and the accomplishments and the achievements and what have you. And from the beginning, it became clear to me that we needed to use this report for a different purpose. And that's really sort of to tell the story, if you will, the story that you all share with us on a daily basis. And, not surprisingly, that story is mostly about not just about what works in the system, but what doesn't work, right? Because people tend to come to us with questions, concerns, often time-sensitive situations. And frankly, people come to us often in crisis. Um, as many of you know, and if you've read our reports, and we deal with a lot of abuse and neglect in the system, in the children's system as well as the adult system. We spend a lot of time on those issues. We work daily with folks who have either severe challenging behavior and or complex medical conditions, and they're falling through the cracks in the system. They're not getting the supports and services that they need and deserve. And so we work a lot with those individuals and those families. And all of that's reflected in our report. And we've really, again, tried to use a report to tell the story. And we often, as many of you know, we try to use some of your words, because again, I think the most compelling voice is the voice of individuals and family members. And so often we'll quote families throughout the report. And frankly, everything in the report, all the ideas we have are not necessarily our ideas. It's what we've learned, the good, the bad, and the otherwise. Uh, and we try to make the report a resource for individuals and families like yourselves, but also for policymakers and for legislators and reporters and anybody who's potentially interested, so they get a glimpse, if you will, of some of the key issues that so many families are involved with throughout the state. Uh, we uh, we work with folks again at all levels of government, mostly with state government, but we get involved in local issues. I sit in a lot of IEP meetings. Uh, we work with federal officials, not only our congressional delegation, but sometimes folks in Washington. Uh, and we work with a lot of folks out of government. Again, there are so many resources in New Jersey. We work with organizations, obviously, like the Council and the Family Support Planning Councils. We work with Autism New Jersey, and we list some of this in the PowerPoint presentation. We work with the county disability offices. A lot of times people don't realize that each county has a disability office. They're all structured differently. Some are just focused on disability. Some are focused on disability and senior issues or veterans issues. Uh, and we also work very closely with the Centers for Independent Living, which I think still is one of the greatest kept secrets in New Jersey. We've got, I think, 12 Centers for Independent Living, as you may know. They cover the entire state. They're regional. And these are organizations. They get their money, the state and or federal money, and they're comprised of people with disabilities, largely run by people with disabilities and family members, and they're really on the ground, and they're a tremendous resource. We work again very closely with them, with the counties, but it's a lot, and we recognize that in our office. It's a lot for an individual with a lifespan disability. It's a lot for family members. And again, the system's complexity, I think it's in part complex by design, and that's the cynic in me. Uh, but nonetheless, it is complex. And so we encourage folks to come to us. We don't often have, I won't say often, we don't always have the answer. Uh, but we're in a position to get it for you. And we're in a position to sort of reach out to government colleagues, non-government colleagues, and get clarity on something and to let you know, again, what's available, what's not available, which I think is absolutely key to sort of to caring for yourselves and caring for your loved ones. Uh, what I'd like to do now, I mean, I could keep going as some of you, as Mercedes knows, I could just keep talking, but I'd love to really just open it up as she suggested and, hear your thoughts, hear your questions, any points you want to make. And again, if you want to have more of a personal conversation, by all means, reach out. We can set up a call, video meeting. I'll come have coffee with you. Uh, but one of the things I just, I always encourage people is, to keep asking the question. If you don't get the right answer, keep asking and don't take no for an answer. Again, we're very blessed to live in a state that does have a lot of resources. And politically, it's something across the political spectrum. Everybody agrees, they want to do right by the disability community. So if you get a no or someone tells you they don't know, ask someone else, come to us, keep knocking on the door, keep asking, because I think that also is a key to success. So with that, I'd love to just hear thoughts, questions, concerns, anything. And who's a cat? I'm looking at this.
Who would
Sorry,
like?
I am.
Go ahead. Kelly?
Hi, no, I was just joining and I joined as a cat because I didn't know
Are
if I'd be
you?
able to change my background. But
Yeah.
I am happy to be here and looking forward to the resources and presentation. I did join late. I am new to New Jersey, about 3 years in. So this was like informational. I have a 6-year-old who is in special education. So I'm just trying to learn as much as I can.
Good for you.
Yeah, yeah, and I would encourage you, Kelly. Thanks for
Mm.
joining. I don't know how much you did hear, but please reach out to our office, reach out to me directly if you want to talk through your situation and any questions you might have about our system, the children's system or the adult system.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I
So go ahead, Francis.
think you're on mute. You're still on mute. There you go.
Okay. Hello, my name is Fran. I am the mother of a 53-year-old TBI daughter. She has had 60 surgeries in her lifetime from an accident that caused her brain injury when she was 13.
Uh,
She was fairly independent until recently. She had an incident of sepsis and pneumonia about a year ago that was very severe. She was hospitalized at that time for 10 days. And since then, her brain quality has lessened, especially with short term memory. And I am trying to find I'm in Gloucester County, some kind of activity where she can go and be stimulated with socialization and friendship. And that is our need currently. I have a son who has said he will always provide a home for her. And so the three of us live together. Things are fine that way. But Nina's short term memory is a constant thing because of all her doctor appointments. She's had 60 surgeries during that lifetime. And what we need is some type of place where she can socialize and be stimulated. Can you help with that tonight, or should I get in touch with your office?
Yeah, let's and Carrie, are you able to put my direct email into the chat? Fran, if you could, yeah, email me directly. Let's set up time to talk. And if you'd like, I'll come down and visit. Let's, meet
That
all
would
of
be
you. And
great.
yeah, and we can talk through what potential options, what resources might exist. Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. It's a shy group. Wow. I will say, so if you want me to fill in some time here, in terms of the transition of our office, I don't know if that would, Mercedes, you alluded to it. There are currently 5 people in our office. Myself, Christine, Charles, Suhani, and Amanda. I'm planning to leave in mid-January. Again, I'm appointed by the governor, and I decided early this year, regardless of the outcome of the election, it was time for me to sort of step back just a little bit. And so I'll be leaving, but the other four will be staying, and there will be a new ombudsman also. I don't know who that person will be, but the office will continue. And I'm hoping, frankly, that it not only continues, but that it expands, both in terms of the number of people working there, because as you can appreciate, we're kind of inundated. But I'm hoping also, frankly, to that it the sort of the breadth of the office, the scope, if you will, expands to cover all people with disabilities. I think it was very important when they created the office to focus on the folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities, the lifespan disabilities. But increasingly, it became clear to us that folks with mental health disabilities, folks with physical disabilities, there's a lot of overlap. And those two communities also deserve to have a resource, I think, like our office. So we're hoping to expand it in that way too. Now we'll go back to questions. I see hands up.
Yeah, Lisa?
Yes. Hi, my name is Lisa. I am very new to this. So you have to bear with me because I'm also new to this technology. I'm trying to figure out how it all works. Just give me a second here. My son is 22, so he just entered the adult system, and I'm trying to navigate the system by doing what I'm calling an a la carte. Uh, I don't want to just throw him into a program.
Mhm.
He's gone from, this school to that school to this school. He's medically fragile and also has, some, he's very easily sick, and he's on the lower end of the scale, nervous. So I can't find my words.
Sure.
So I'm never heard of you, sir. So this is new to me that we're losing this star person I never heard of, and so I'm sorry about that. And as a resource, I would love to take advantage of any knowledge that you have. So I don't want to just fire all these questions at you. I'd love to talk to you because
Sure.
I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
And that's my problem. I spend hours and hours. I get up in the morning, I sit in this chair, and I research and I research and I research to the point of I'm OCD coming out my ears. And I
Mm.
can't find, I want to pick and choose. This is what I want for him. I will take him there. I will take him back. And I will, we will have lunch, and then I will take him there, and I will take him there, and I will come back. And I don't know where to find these resources to take him. I don't want to
Yeah.
put,
What county? I mean, this is the Morris, Sussex, and Warren County Council tonight, but we did open this up statewide. So if you could just tell us what county you're in?
I'm in Camden County.
Camden. Okay.
I did find Get Fit, which is Gloucester County, and I am finding there is much more out there in Gloucester County. And I know there's a lot up in the northern end of New Jersey because every time I look for like a dance thing or
Mm.
a workout, everything up north is abundant. Down here, not so much. And I've been driving him
Mhm.
since he was born.
Mm.
So I don't really like to take advantage of the driving, the buses and all of that. So I'm the person doing it. So I would love to take advantage of anything that Mr. Aronsohn has
Sure.
in that brain of yours. You know, it can be this way. It could be face to face. I'm fine with that.
What, yeah, I'd be glad to. And again, whatever you're comfortable with, again, phone, video, in person, I'm happy to do whatever. And again, just to underscore, when we say in person, it's not you coming to Trenton, it's Trenton coming to you, if you will. I'll come wherever you are. So I would just again shoot me an email. I'll be more than happy to talk you through it. And also, I would encourage you and everyone, we've developed a website, and it's hard with state government technology to develop something really good and innovative. But we've tried to create a website to be like almost a one-stop shop for individuals and families. And so we tried to organize it in a very user-friendly way. And so I would encourage you to take a look at the website. It might answer some questions, but by all means, shoot me an email. Let's set up time to talk. And again, when I'm gone, the office will still be there. And they're a great resource, the team that we have. So you're not alone is a key message. And we're here all the time. Again, we have ongoing relationships with folks. I've had it, for the whole 7.5 years with some families. So definitely, note that we're here for you. Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that. If how can I get your email? Is there a
Think Carrie was putting it in the chat. I don't know if she did.
I'm going to put it again, but Lisa, do you see the chat on your, if you go to the chat button at the bottom of your screen, just click on it, it will,
there are 6 chats. Okay.
yes,
Thank you very much.
that's fine. So you'll find the website and the email address that Paul was mentioning. And because we have somebody from Gloucester and somebody from Camden tonight, let me just also make a note before we go on to the other hands that are up, that the regional family support planning councils are all over the state of New Jersey. There are 10 that are geographically aligned. Some there's just one county, and some there's multiple counties. And Carrie, if you could put the link to that site, I'll just give you a little bit more, Lisa and Fran and any others who are not familiar with the Regional Family Support Planning Council. First of all, we're really glad that you got here tonight. So you are on some mailing list or somebody shared something with you. But these 10 chapters across the state are a resource. It's families coming together, sharing information, coming to presentations, and talking about what's not working in the system, because the New Jersey Council on Developmental Disabilities role, which is a federally authorized entity in our state, is to look at advocacy, building capacity where it's not existing. So I heard you say, there's no recreation or activities in this part of the state, like looking at where there's unmet need, and then also looking at changing systems based on what we hear and what we learn. So all these 10 places where you can go, almost all of them meet virtually. Our Council One actually meets in a hybrid format, so we always have Zoom available, but there's a group that gets together at Wegmans in Parsippany, who, just want to sit around the table, but they have computers and can see what's happening in the Zoom setting. So we call it hybrid. We do a little bit of both. So, you know, the best thing as parents, I think, and what I've learned is to connect with other parents, because if you
Yeah.
don't know something, they may not. Or together, it's easier to help figure it out than feeling like you're out on the island all by yourself. So you're here to get tonight. Everybody should feel very comfortable speaking, because everybody's here with their own set of issues, like their own things that they bring to the table with what's not working, what is working. You might get a great idea. You might just feel a little bit better about, I'm not alone. I'm not doing this, the only one doing this, and feel having these feelings. So that was a little commercial break for the Regional Family Support Planning Councils. Kerry just put that link in the chat. You can learn more about them. You can find the county where you live and how to connect, get on their mailing list. Most of them meet monthly, like I said, virtually. 4 times a year they meet in person, usually in the Trenton area, where other speakers, connecting with people like Paul, other state officials come together. And that's like kind of, for me, that's the best way you can kind of get to what you need, is having the people who are making the decisions, people running those operations right in front of you. Um, it's a great way to help, as you said, kind of a la carte, right? Figure
Yeah.
out what's the best of everything. I like that. And kind of feel like that's what my daughter does. It's like, what does she like the most? And then how do we build the supports around that? So I'm going to stop talking because you don't come here to hear me, but I am going to ask, is it Ghazi?
Hi, yes, it's Ungazi. How are you?
Ghazi.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I live in Morris County, so I've taken down some of the council number one, and I'm definitely going to make sure I'm on the mailing list. I may be because I don't know how I got this information, but I did sign up.
Okay.
And Paul, I have listened to one of your webinars before, and I can't tell you why I didn't take action, but when I heard that you're leaving, I'm like, there's no way he's going to leave without me taking action. So we may have to lock you in your office to keep you from leaving.
You're
But
funny.
I have a 24-year-old daughter. She's on the spectrum. Uh, Fortunately, about 2 years ago, she got on DDD, and that has opened a lot of doors. But because she's not as severely impacted, most of the challenges I have are around there are things that I think she could benefit from, but there's not enough budget to do those things. And
Mhm.
so one of the things that I was trying to find out is, are there other such resources across the state of New Jersey outside of DDD? She doesn't work at the time. We tried to file for SSI, got denied, tried to appeal it, got denied again. So there's a lot of frustration on top of frustration, just like with all other parents. And I hear about the council number one. I'm very interested in speaking to other parents and kind of feeling not so alone. Uh, but I do want to either speak or meet with you or someone in your office just to see where my blind spots are. Because I know, yeah, I heard the other lady talking about she's sees a lot going on in northern New Jersey. I'm in northern New Jersey and I feel I can't find anything for her. So uh, I just feel as if I'm glad I joined this call. And to hear that you're leaving, that means I really need to get on the ball, not just with yourself, but with your staff and other parents and other organizations to really push forward. This last year has been very challenging for her, and I work full time. So it's I have to always make the time, and then sometimes I don't make adequate time, and then we feel like we're falling further and further behind. So I just wanted to get on and say thank you for the work you've done, your staff, and for all the organizations that are supporting our children, whether they're children or now adult children. But it is, as you know, very difficult and very frustrating because we know that there's so much more for them, but we just don't know where to go. So hoping to learn more and help her.
Absolutely, and love to talk more with you.
Okay.
We work with families. We can probably help on the SSI issue. We often work with congressional offices. We find them to be a great resource for working through the SSI challenges. We can look to, talk to you about your budget. We help families often sometimes look at their NJCAT, the comprehensive assessment tool, go through the results and maybe, go line by line and maybe find things that were answered incorrectly or have changed. And maybe your budget should be, you might want a reassessment. So we can work with you on that. And again, we can talk to you about other resources that might be available for you and for your daughter. Yeah. So reach out and we'll definitely have that conversation. I'll start the
Right.
conversation and then I'll hand you off to my team.
Someone else. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Thank you.
and
Appreciate that.
you're very welcome. And by the way, as I'm leaving, I give out my personal cell phone to a lot of folks. And I was talking to a parent a couple of weeks ago, and she said, you can't go too far. And I said, why? She goes, because we all have your phone number, which is an excellent point. But in all seriousness, I encourage you, just because I'm not going to be in the job, to the extent I can help, it's, for many of us in these roles, like Mercedes and myself, Carrie, it's a labor of love. And, I'm more than happy to help even past January 20th, if you've got my number, anything we can do to help. Because we all know how complex, how challenging, uh, how stressful, I'm a sibling. I had an older sister with developmental disabilities, and so I learned so much from not only my sister Patty, but my mom as her caregiver. The challenges, the fears, the just walking that fine line, trying to advocate, but not trying to push too much because you're afraid they'll take away those resources and stuff. So, I get it. The folks in my office get it, and we're here for you.
Thank
So,
you.
You're
so
welcome.
Ngozi, one more thing, Morris, Sussex, and Warren counties, the group that organized tonight, we
Hmm.
often share resources. We had a session not that long ago on, community providers, community-based supports, recreation, social activities. If your daughter likes to sing, my daughter's going to a karaoke night tomorrow night in Boonton. So there are things that our kids do or we learn about that are happening that maybe our kids don't like, but we find out about them from being connected. So please connect with the Council One. And I'm sure Kerry will sign you up if you're not signed up so that you can come and join us in other months to get more information. We're going to go to Amanda and then a couple things in the chat and then to Lisa next.
Hi, thank you so much. Can you hear me? I have my headphones in.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm in Bergen County. And so, Paul, you read my mind. I was going to say a few things that you've experienced. I'm the sister legal guardian for my older brother who's 62. My father's 90. My mother passed away. I became my co-guardian with my father. So I moved my father and my brother from another state to New Jersey and navigated transfer of guardianship, Medicaid, and all of that, navigated the New Jersey system. And recently, this past year, this has been over 3 years, placed him in a medical home. So my question really is, I was hoping when getting him in a wonderful organization, day program, group home, it's going really well. I was hoping it would allow my father and I to be part of a community and to be connected to other family members. And I know what my father and I and my brother are experiencing is prevalent. With parents aging, adults with disabilities, siblings become guardians if, there's a sibling that is able to do that. So I was hoping that it would create a community for us, and I haven't experienced that. So I'm wondering, and again, I'm in Bergen County, as you all know, there's extensive resources here. I'm an occupational therapist. I know the system very well, and I'm having a hard time really finding this. And I'm wondering, and as you said, just as said, words out of my mouth is I walk very lightly, tread very lightly because I don't want anything to happen to the services that we have. But I'm wondering I question why the agency doesn't have a family advocate or somebody who's reaching out to us or somebody that's connecting us. And I know the behind the scenes, and sometimes when you connect people, it can cause waves of, of advocacy and of questions and of conversation. But I'm just wondering, these very large agencies that are very well funded through this, like you said, amazing system. My father is floored by what is occurring here in New Jersey. Like what do these agencies, or how can I support the agency with having more of like a family advocate? And this is, beyond the support coordinator and all of that. So is there something that I'm missing, or I'm just curious about this kind of family connection advocate community that we're lacking?
Yeah, and what town are you in Bergen County?
Oradell?
Okay, I'm in Ridgewood.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, so like a lot of things, there are some organizations that are very family friendly, and there's some that are less so. And there's nothing that necessarily you can do to compel an organization to become family friendly, even though we try to advocate. I will tell you, one of the things we do, and we spend a lot of time in our office, and me personally, is working with families that feel like, they're afraid that, they're walking a fine line, or that there's going to be retribution, or, what I mean, or they feel intimidated. We step in any way we can to sort of strengthen, make the family know that they have agency and that we're there with them. We work directly, there's sometimes where there are bad situations that we have to reach out directly to DDD leadership, get involved. I often sit in meetings. Sometimes, when there's maybe it's a miscommunication, a bad communication with the provider agency, or there's some issue that needs to be resolved. I personally sit in with family members, A, as a show of support, and B, just because it helps me to hear the conversation and we can advise the family accordingly. I think you're right to get engaged in it, what I mean? And we can talk offline and we can find ways for you to maybe explore that with the provider agency. I will say also in Bergen County, one of these asked what town is, we years ago they set up the county really did this initiative to set up disability committees in each town. And I think about 45 of the 70 Bergen County towns have what they call Access for All committees. I set one up in Ridgewood. And they really just bring, they're a resource for the families in town. Some of them, each one's different. Sometimes they do social events, like the one in Fairlawn. I think they do like a dance every month and stuff. And I can sort of connect you with some of that and tell you what other resources exist up here. But again, feel free to reach out to me. We can see, I don't know what agency it is, and we don't have to talk about it right here, but
Yeah.
Uh, but
Okay.
yeah, again, some of them are more open to it, and you need to just talk to the right person, and they welcome family involvement. Others, not so much.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Is your experience if you do mention the word ombudsman, is that like mentioning attorney? Does that like I'm just, oh, I spoke to the ombudsman. Is that a flag?
Yeah,
Just gotta be
sometimes.
honest. Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes I think, with some of the provider in there, I mean, frankly, some agencies we've had some real difficulties with, particularly the residential. Uh, and so, yeah, when you say, the ombudsman, they might, their back might get up a
Mm,
little bit. Others we have a great relationship with, a lot of the provider agencies, and they know we're a resource too. Sometimes they
mhm.
come to us where they have a question, or again, we try to facilitate a lot of communication, but, try to work through situations, which can be a win-win for everybody involved. So,
Thank you so much.
no, absolutely.
Thanks, Amanda. And also Barbara in the chat. She's in Burlington County, which is quite a
Mm,
distance from Bergen, but she talks about her sister being disabled and her parents are uh, and my parent or her caregiver, parents are her caregiver, sorry, my pop-ups are coming. Are there resources for siblings? And I will share that Carrie McGrath, who's helping us run this meeting tonight, is on staff at the New Jersey Council on Developmental Disabilities, and she's a sibling. So I would suggest maybe you connect with Carrie. She's doing some work in the sibling network space, and we've got an upcoming project at the council. So maybe connecting with Carrie, she'll put her information in the chat, will um, be a good opportunity for both of you and anyone else who's a sibling, or if any families here have other children that you think might want to connect with other siblings. And then the other in the chat before we go to Lisa and then Sashana is Andrea is the director of intake at the Family Support of ARC, the Morris County ARC of Morris County, and she's left her contact information in the chat for anyone in the Morris County area who might be looking for some services and supports and some of the activities that happen at the ARC.
And speaking of siblings, I think the Arc of New Jersey used to have a sibling support group of some sort, or I don't know if that's still in existence. But anyway, just another potential resource.
Mhm. So we have three people. So Lisa, Bitten, you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all. I just wanted to say, for people that are new to this whole thing, especially, those who are just entering the adult system, um, back when our loved ones were, whether they are our children or our siblings or whatever, it was the school that connected us or the CPAG, and that was the way to get the information and learn about the different services throughout the state. Because, I mean, at least in my experience, left to my own devices, it would have been just this mass of confusion trying to figure out, how do you get this service and how do you do that? So it really was when my son was younger, it was really the school and the CPAG and the parents I met through that. And then, like Challenger football, which is for special needs, and then special needs scouting groups. It was really the other parents, the other families who helped me figure out how to get things done. Um, and then once he left the school system at age 21, it's a lot more difficult because there isn't that school anymore, or that Challenger Football League anymore, or that scouting group or whatever. And then you kind of feel like you're a little bit isolated. But I was introduced to the Regional Family Support Planning Councils a couple of years ago, coincided with my son entering the adult system. And that has kind of taken the place of the CPAG group when my son was in school. And it's through those people that I learn about other organizations that might be specific to my son's needs. Some of those people are siblings, and some of those people are parents, and some of those people have loved ones with medical needs or behavioral needs, or maybe, don't have that high level of need, and have ideas about what you can do for recreation. But the nice thing about the councils is that they are broken down by region. So if you were to connect with your particular council in your county, or your little area of the state, you'll meet the people who are familiar with those other things. And you'll also find that this is just a very small world. And then people you meet here, you're going to meet them in some other meeting of some other sort, one way or another. As for the Office of the Ombudsman, that office really has been a lifesaver for my family. We were in crisis when we were first introduced to the office, and it was absolutely instrumental in putting us on the right path. We were absolutely in crisis. And so that I don't think that it would have been resolved without the help of that office. And Paul did sit in meetings with me for things that were not quite crisis level, but still needed a resolution that was beyond my ability to solve on my own. So, I think that between those two, I guess, entities, um, it it's like kind of like the foundation of where I go for my supports for my son and his lifetime. The ombudsman's office, I guess, for the more severe the problems and things like that. And then, for the services and kind of how to work the system, not work the system, it's probably not the right way to put it, but how to understand it would be like the regional family support planning councils and those other families who've gone through it. Some who self-direct, some who have family members that live in group homes. Just there's, something for everybody, so to speak. So with that, thank you. And I hope that that can help someone.
Thanks,
Thank
Lisa.
you for saying that.
Shoshana?
Yeah, I'll try and make this quick because I know we're running out of time. Under Stephen Comneno's law, so my sister, I'm a sibling and the guardian. My sister lives in a group home, and under Stephen Comneno's law, there's a piece of paper where families have an opportunity to have their contact information shared. I don't trust that my agency or is actually doing that. Does the state at all, when they do an audit or something, do they ever check that to see if there's papers there and if there's been any attempt to share that information? Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the question. And that's an issue, we've raised both internally as well as in our annual reports. I think in our most recent one, we included that. That's the piece of the Camino's law that I don't know if any agency is necessarily following through on that. It is a requirement in law, and we ask families all the time, hey, have they ever shared information with the other families? And we're always told no. We can look into, we've raised this with DDD, we've raised this with the Office of Program Integrity and Accountability, which licenses the group homes and does the Stephen Caminos. But it's such an important thing. I mean, families should have contact information. They should, again, and some, some agencies, again, see families, appreciate the value of families as a resource, and others don't. But this is a key provision that needs to be followed through. So I'll look into it again. And again, if you want to just shoot me an email, I can let you know what I learn on that.
Yeah, I mean, to Shoshana's point, Paul, some folks don't want to upset the apple cart and like complain that they're not connected and let the agency know that they want to see the list that they've reached out. Because if somebody doesn't want to be on that list, a family doesn't want to be part of that, then they're not obligated, the agency's not obligated to share information. But I've been in conversations with our assistant commissioner at the Division of Developmental Disability, John Seafried, and he's said if somebody's concerned, we can check on it. And if you don't want to say who the agency is, then I would say go through the Paul's office, let him know the agency, and he can at least have the division take a look at the legitimacy of having had contact with those families in that particular home and do some follow up. So it was a really good question for anybody who's has a child or sibling living in a group setting.
And if I could just sort of related to that point, for those of you who aren't familiar with our office, we get it. We understand the pressures, we understand the fears, again, of retaliation or something. We're as discreet as you want us to be. We'll ask questions, generically, we'll ask questions specific, what I mean, whatever works for you. We're very, very sensitive to sort of the position you're in. And so you should always feel free to come to us. And if you don't want to be out front asking the question, as Mercedes said, we can do it for you. We can find a way to get the information without anybody knowing that's you asking for it. That's what you want. So thanks for the question.
Kelly.
Hello again. So I noticed something. My son, who just turned 6 and has been diagnosed with autism for 3 years and ADHD for a year. For doing community programs or trying to do after school or summertime programs, all the programs in Middlesex where I'm near, when I meet with these directors, they all are basically having kind of high schoolers or like younger adults who volunteer. And for his complexities with behavioral issues, like of aggression, because he's non-speaking, so like he doesn't express himself as much as he could because he's still learning that on the AAC device and self-interest behaviors. It kind of comes to like a conclusion that me and the director both feel like maybe this isn't the best fit for him. And I just feel like he doesn't have a lot of options. And then when we do stuff like we have something called buddy ball, like basketball
Mhm.
and stuff, I have to be his one-on-one because again, they're just like high schoolers that are volunteers. So I'm just trying to
Mhm.
find more inclusive ways. And then I went through, is it Perform Care,
Yeah.
Seahawk? And
Right.
when I do reach out to people for respite, it's like I'm in Middlesex, like East Brunswick, and they're like in Newark, and they're like, yeah, we can pick them up and take them to a movie. And it's not that I'm trying to be untrusting, but I understand he's an eloper, and I get nervous at the idea of someone picking up and taking him 20 miles, 30 miles away. And when I ask, oh, can I attend? Like, I'll pay for the ticket. They're like, no one's ever asked that. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to just let my son go with someone that I don't even know. I have a hard enough time in school because he can elope. So I'm just finding a hard time finding activities outside of school. Because even in school, he's mostly in self-contained, where he can be a part of community. And I'm just wondering, outside of Perform Care, I'm in a CPAG, like where else I can turn to look for that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one good resource would be, I don't know, Autism New Jersey. I don't know if you've ever worked with them. We actually work very closely with Autism New Jersey. Uh, Tremendous resource, and they focus a lot of their attention on children. And even going to their webpage, they have a lot of referrals and providers on there. Uh, So you can talk to one of their intake people, and they can possibly tell you of resources. Other than that, we do in our office, me personally, work closely with families like yours and your CMO, and also the Children's System of Care, which is part of the Department of Children and Families. And we try to find different resources, whether it be respite camps, things like that. So I would reach out to me, and I would connect with Autism New Jersey also.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Kelly. We also had another resource put in the chat in Vineland, Cumberland County, on someone offering to make connection if you live in that part of the state, because it seems like we are all over the map tonight, which is terrific. Does anybody else have a comment to make or a question for Paul? Joyce, and then Emma. Joyce, can you are you I'm not Joyce, I'm not sure if Joyce is raising her hand for us or maybe that was just her talking with her hands to somebody else. So Emma, we're going to come to you and then we'll check in with Joyce.
Just a big thank you in the season of Thanksgiving to Paul and all his staff. They've been instrumental in making our lives much easier, along the lines of how easy this could be. But they connected us with a lot of resources, and they are there, and that's a big comfort for all the parents, I think, for kids with developmental disabilities. My son happens to have autism and seizures, and really was a very, very serious case. But they maneuver through all the challenges, and they help us along the way. So all the best to you, Paul. We'll miss you
Thank you.
definitely.
Oh, thanks so much, Emma. And for those of you in Passaic County, PACOPAD is a great resource too, the organization Emma heads.
I'll put
So
it in the chat also. Thank you very much.
thank you. Laura, I guess.
Sorry, I went off mute, Laura. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Paul, I mean, we haven't worked together for a couple of years now, but I know you guys like the success stories as much as you like getting involved into the tough ones. So, um, in the interest of this being recorded, several, I don't know, 5 years ago, my son was in really dire straits in a hospital. And I reached out to Paul because he was critically ill, and he was able to really get the state to pay attention to his care and help us navigate what was a really difficult situation. It still took, quite a few bumps on the road and quite a few ups and downs, but he is in an amazing place. He's in an amazing home. He
It's
goes
great.
to, he has a ton of support, a one-on-one all the time. He's happy, he's calm, he's living his best life, and he is nothing like we were. He was nothing in the same place where we were 5 years ago. So just so you know, like
That's
it's
wonderful.
for everybody, like, and I don't, he's 25. This is probably not the only bump in the road, right? There may come another one, but we all have to try to enjoy when we get to a spot where we can take a deep breath and be like, there is no crisis today. And I think share the kudos to all the people who helped him out.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks for sharing that good story. That's wonderful. I'm so glad he's doing better.
Yep.
It's wonderful.
Um, Anybody else? I mean, if you have been noticing, if you're keeping the chat open, you're seeing a lot of resources and a lot of people contributing. I'm going to underscore again that that's kind of the what you get. Like when you come to these council meetings across the state, um, in between reaching out to folks like Paul and the Ombudsman office, you will consistently have access to information sharing. People are always very generous with their time and with sharing information if it will help somebody else. So, um, and Carrie, I'm sure you'll capture some of those resources in the chat and share them with everybody tonight if you didn't have a chance to write it down or you're multitasking at the moment, which is great because it's the end of the night and I have a hard time multitasking come the end of the day too. Um, anybody else? Lori,
I,
were you trying to speak? No, I don't think so. She is
I also
driving
just put
though,
a
so
link in.
be careful.
I'm sorry. I just put a link in there for a very useful Facebook page. It's probably one of the more popular ones in the state. A lot of families use it, and they use it even just not only to sort of read, each other's posts and what have you, and respond to different things, but they'll ask questions. You can ask a question like, "Hey, I'm looking for a support coordinator. I live in this county. I'm looking for this." So it's just another resource to include in your bucket of resources.
And then Lennon's house just put a holiday season kickoff party, and that's in the Morris County area in Rockaway, American Legion Hall, um, on Thursday, December 4th, from 12:30 to 3. So again, lots of sharing, lots of access to things that you just might not come across your space every day. So thanks for sharing that. Any other questions or comments before we wrap up? Well, I hope that you all felt your time was well spent tonight. I know it's always well spent when I spend time with Paul. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
If this is our last opportunity to have you at Council One, we want to thank you for the many, many times that you've come here, night or day, whenever it is. We appreciate it. You know how much you will be missed, and I don't know if anybody
Thanks.
convinced you tonight to reconsider I heard a couple of plugs, but I'm appreciative of all that you've done and your office has done, and I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. So if there's last call for any comments or any words before we say goodnight to you. Anyone from Council One who have anything to share? We have several members from Council One here tonight. Michael, Alicia, Laura. No?
Again, Paul, thank you. I know, like as Mercedes said, you have come quite a few times to various Morris County events, and I think it's always, I know I have sent many people in crisis your way, and they've gotten at least some form of resolution through the process. There's not always in everybody's situation the perfect
Right.
answer, but you've been a tremendous partner to everyone who's needed
Thank
you.
you. Thanks. I appreciate that, Lauren, Mercedes, and everybody. Thank you so much. And again, you've got my number, so call me. And those who said they wanted to email and talk, please do so. I definitely encourage you to do so. We'll set up time to meet in person or whatever you want.
Michael?
Yes. Well, I would like to extend thanks over the time you've been working. I have not been to a meeting that I thought was of import that you were not there. You came to everything that I was ever at, including the fashion show from the day program my daughter's in.
That's right.
You've made your presence known. You write the best reports. I'm surprised they let you write the second one after they read the first one. Truth to power is something that doesn't happen frequently, and you did it. And people that read your reports are uplifted by them. They know that somebody is paying attention. So thank you very much for your service.
Thanks so much, Mike. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks again, everybody. Thank you, Paul. Hope to see many of you who we're seeing for the first time tonight in Morris and our future meetings. Have a good evening, safe, happy, and healthy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. You
Take
too.
care. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Night.
Good night, everyone.